one of the last uncontacted tribes in the world.
But what a doofus. What did you think was going to happen, right?
Jamie said the guy's been there before, right? Did you say that?
So they knew him?
Though the guy, well, I don't know if the people that killed him knew him. Wouldn't they say there's between 50 and 100 people on this island, I believe? See if you can get a good article on it. Is that the number?
I'm trying to pull up an article.
So there's like 50 to 150 people. They don't exactly know. And they came there, say from, it's the size of Manhattan. It's an island. And they came there from Africa, like, what is it, like 60,000 years ago?
That's what I'd read. I don't remember exactly where the article
And
I
this
read
is
earlier,
near India?
Yeah, somewhere in India or near India, some island. So this fucking dude was trying to bring him to Jesus. And they said, if you like the guy, we'll introduce you to him. They filled that motherfucker full of, oh, wow, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, that's fucked.
That bitch is in the middle of nowhere. So they came off of Africa. That's crazy.
How the fuck
Spread
did
that
they
out so I can
leave?
go see all that shit? That's crazy. Yeah.
How the fuck do you're running away from something to end up there?
Well, that's, if you read about the migration of people from Africa spreading out, that's a big part of what they're doing. It's trying to get away from people that are trying to kill them.
Yeah.
Like, it's all either they run out of resources, they run out of food, or they're being forced out of areas. Like, new people come in and people escape and survive. And I mean, there's so many instances from the Mongols to the Romans. I mean, you can go back and back and back all through history. But if you broke it down, if you looked at it like a math problem, like, what's happening here? Here's what's happening. These groups of people get together and then they develop some shit that kills other groups of people, and they push into those groups of people and try to fuck their chicks.
Yeah.
They try to steal their money, fuck their chicks, eat their food, and then they do the same thing. And then people go back and forth, and this is all people have done. Like, there's never been a time where no one was at war.
I was very lost and very alone, and I was like on like day 6 or something of being lost. I don't remember. No, it wasn't that long of a solo. But I was lost and I was scared. And I was in a
How did you
hammock.
get lost?
Well, as soon as you leave the river, like, you could literally walk 15 feet and then be like, I'm just going to come right back. And the jungle will, like, Blair Witch you. Because it's all green. So you just, like, think you know what you're doing. Just last week, I took people, I wanted to cross from one trail to another trail, and I was like, I'm a guide, I can do this. And I came back out on the same trail like a half hour later, and I was like, yep, that's what I meant to do, let's go. And like, happens to JJ all the time.
Really?
You cannot find your way in the
Do you
jungle.
use a compass?
Don't use a compass.
Why not?
Because actually, apparently some of the iron content in some of the saps in the trees pulls the needle. It doesn't work really well.
Even the trees are trying to trick you. Oh my god.
GPSs run out of batteries. It's like you really you have to learn your bushcraft. You have to learn how to navigate in the jungle, and it's like which is pretty much, you have to get just amazing at dead reckoning and remembering your course, because it's so dense that, like, we play with people. We go, go see if you can go from here to there. It's like they can't go there. They can't do that as soon as you leave the river. So, like, I had gone out on this solo, gotten lost, gotten scared, and then been like, oh shit, what if I just, like, into the wilded myself? What if now I'm gonna be the next kid that went and died in the Amazon? And like, I like slept in the hammock, but this is like as I was learning, so I didn't realize that the hammock that I had bought had a mosquito net on top, but the back was not mosquito proof, so they could stick through. So my back was being destroyed by mosquitoes as I'm trying to sleep, and like a couple of nights of that. And so I finally fall asleep, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and I hear breathing right next to my face, and I like wanted to turn my headlamp on, and I just hear like right here, like I could feel her breath, and I was like 6 inches away from a jaguar's face, and she just like, and then left, and she just came in. She wanted to see what that was. She was like, you're not gonna move, that's what you're not gonna do. She growled like right into my ear, and then later on but that one's cute though. That's a cute picture. That's a cute jag.
Wow. And they vary in colors and the spots and everything, right? Like, some of them are much darker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, actually somebody recently was like, where do you see panthers? And I went on this whole weird thing of like, a leopard or a jaguar, just like you can have albinos, you have a melanistic one. Yeah.
Wow.
So like people would call that a panther, but a panther's not a real, there's no animal that's a panther. It's like
right.
a Kleenex. It's like it's just another name for it.
That is so beautiful.
But a black
Look
jag.
at that thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Yeah, in South India they have the black leopards.
What an
which are
amazing
stunning.
looking animal.
Look at the muscles.
Yeah, it's an amazing killing machine. And so humans don't get taken out by them?
I can only really speak for our region of the Amazon, but I haven't even heard a story about it.
Really?
Like no one. Our jags are just, we have like record numbers of jags. Like I think they're listed as near threatened, and we have like some of the strongest remaining jaguar populations in the world. It's incredible.
And
Like
you
they're-
barely see them.
We barely see them. The last one I saw was 2 years ago, and some people like go their whole lives without seeing them.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because people walk off into the jungle and they don't realize people. It's so funny living in the wild and seeing people show up there, and it's like people come and they're like, they smell like shampoo and cologne and bug spray and deodorant, and they're just like, if to an animal that has such better senses than we do, they might as well just have like sirens on them, and like you are this shiny, glittering foghorn of attention in the jungle, and like every animal's going to run away from you. And so people are always like, how come you go out and you see so much stuff? And it's like, I only shower in the river. I live out in the jungle. I smell like they do. Like I'm out there for weeks, and it's like I'm not going and like shampooing my hair. It's like, and so like to these animals, like they know when you're coming. Like a jag's just going to be like, oh, there's a human there.
Do you wash with soap when you wash in the river?
I do use a biodegradable soap. You have to keep your skin clean or else you just get infections. But like for the most part, like my clothing, everything, like I don't use anything that's scented because of that, because I want to be out there and just blend in. And that's whether I'm out in the field with elephants or whether you're out in Africa or India or whether you're in the Amazon. I want to be sort of like included. I want to blend in.
Like if you ever gone through human history, there's now like, well, there was a period of 100 years where there was no wars. It's never happened.
Yeah.
Never.
It's never happened.
You're the best guy to ask about this. Isn't it impressive how they built those arrows, right? The craftsmanship, because they're proper
I don't know
arrows.
what they look like.
They
do
flew
they
up.
have pictures of the arrows?
But apparently he died just of the arrows hitting him. So the way I was thinking it was in order for an arrow to be done properly, right? And you could aim and then hit someone and kill him, and it has to go through the whole structure of the pelvis.
No,
all
it
that.
doesn't have to. I mean, especially if they hit him a bunch of times. You know, if they hit him a bunch of times, they could have shot him in the guts.
Even with shitty arrows?
Well, I don't think they have shitty arrows because they need them to survive, right? So there's got to be island animals, and they're hunting these animals. But it's not that hard for these people and these kind of tribes if they have the proper wood on the island. You know, people have been making bows and arrows for a long time, and they'll use certain fibers from certain trees, and they weave them together and make a bowstring. And you know, if they have enough good wood and they have good fiber and they have the knowledge, I mean, even if they don't have metal, you could still, to this day, I found one in Nevada. I found an old, I don't know what era it's from, but I found an arrowhead. But while I was actually bow hunting, I found an actual arrowhead from some Native American tribe that they had left behind. And apparently they were like really common. Like people find them all the time. Because you think of the thousands of years that the indigenous people were here and all the different animals they shot with bows and arrows, they figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
So these people must know how to do it too. And if they have enough good stone to make, something flint or something similar to make the arrowheads, or maybe they're using something toxic. Maybe they have some sort of toxic plant and they're just dipping the tip of a sharpened tip into it.
If you dip the tip in something toxic, can you eat that meat
Yeah,
after?
you can apparently.
But not the area near the
It's a
arrow?
good question. It's a good question. I don't know, but a lot of these tribes that shoot things, they shoot things with poison on the end of their arrows. Yeah. Well, the idea is that they want to eat it, right? If they don't hit it perfectly, they're not going to wait for the perfect shot. They're just trying to hit it. So if they can hit it in the ass or in the neck or wherever the fuck they hit it, if they have poison, that thing's going to die. They use poison for a lot of weird shit too. They use poison to fish. It's really strange. They
poison the fish?
Yeah, it's crazy. They take this plant and they smash it up, and they make it's like this green plant. I think was that the Yanomami of somewhere, maybe Bolivia or something like that. It's one of those tribal peoples that lives almost uncontacted, but still they'll have like Under Armour t-shirts on and shit. It's weird.
Okay.
It's weird, but they're barefoot. And they take these plants, and I forget what plant it is, but they smash this plant up and make like this green pulp, and then they put this pulp in these ponds, and these fish just float. It's some sort of toxin, and it just fucks these fish up, and they just float up to the top, and then they go and scoop the fish and take them out of there. But it like paralyzes them.
It's not toxic to us, I guess.
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe
Must
they just
be a little, but I guess you have to be really fucking hungry to think,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not killing enough or getting enough fruits or vegetables. I'm going to poison these things, and I'd rather die being poisoned than starving to death.
Well, I think these people have been on the edge of survival. Like, they figured out survival down to like everything in their area. They know what's edible, they know what's dangerous, what to avoid, what to cultivate, what to seek out. They just, they know how to do it. So if these people are on if it's a resource rich island, it seems to be like an island in the middle of the ocean, as long as they don't kill too much, as long as they keep a certain healthy population of animals around and they're cognizant of that. Is this these people?
Yeah, this is a video I found on YouTube
Wow.
from 2008 where some fishermen or someone found them and gave them, they were
2008.
giving them coconuts.
Wow. So these people apparently, if you follow the story, they came from Africa 60-something thousand years ago, and I guess probably during the Ice Age, the coastline was very different, right? The water levels were way lower. And then when the ice all melted, the oceans rose, and then we get what we got now. So maybe it was a much larger island, or maybe it was like the Bering landmass where you could get across it. Fuck.
And they
At least they're
must they
friendly.
must speak a language that no one else, not even close to
right?
anything else, since it's been like so long.
Fuck, man. Here's it combined with language. Throw it here is combined with body language. They seem to have a link. So they were like telling them to throw things, and they're giving them coconuts. That's pretty cool. Paul Rosalie's a bad motherfucker. That guy is literally putting his money where his mouth is, where his life is, trying to save the Amazon, like living in it, helping people, hiring people to guard it, taking people that were chopping the wood, chopping the trees down, and then giving them a new job to protect the trees. It's fucking amazing.
And he feels the pain. Like he
Yeah.
literally like physically feels the pain of lost trees.
He sent me something. I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but if we're not, I'll edit it out afterwards. But he sent me a video. I can't show the video, but he sent me a video of an uncontacted tribe that they discovered.
Yeah.
Did he send you that?
Yeah.
Fucking insane.
Yeah, it's insane.
Just complete uncontacted tribe, naked in the forest, hundreds of them. And they're like pushing these boats filled with bananas out to them to give them food.
the reason we could probably talk about they try not to show it so
Yeah.
that people don't show up and try to find them.
Exactly.
You want to kind of protect them.
Exactly.
So,
That's
yeah.
why I don't know if we could even talk about it. But he has brought up the uncontacted tribes before on the show, and one of his friends was murdered by one. One of the tribes, he was these guys would drop off food to these people. And one day they're like, you know what? Enough. Whap. I'm just gonna kill you. Fuck you. I don't trust you.
Yeah, and we hung out. We talked to a guy that works with Paul that has like a scar from a spear.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And
Bro. At least 100 uncontacted groups in the rainforest. Unbelievable, man. They're living like they were living 20,000 years ago. Maybe even more. Completely uncontacted. That is to me one of the most fascinating aspects of human life today. Some of the more fascinating pieces of evidence in South America have come out recently about these channels and pathways that they've found in the Amazon that could not have been created any other way but by humans.
Absolutely.
Creating irrigation, humans creating like it appears like grids, like a city grid.
Definitely. The Amazon is a colossal mystery, and it's one of the subjects that I explore in depth in America before. First of all, to give some basic figures, the Amazon basin is huge. The Amazon basin is 7 million square kilometers in area. And within it, 5.5 million square kilometers remains almost entirely unstudied by archaeologists. And that's the 5.5 million square kilometers that is still covered by dense rainforest. And to put that into perspective, 5.5 million square kilometers is the size of the entire Indian subcontinent. So it's like saying, we've done world archaeology, but we've just ignored India, We've done world archaeology, but we've just ignored the Amazon. It's the same argument. 5.5 million square kilometers. The view was, again, there was a dogma. There was a preconception. Human beings couldn't have flourished in the Amazon. It's not a resource-rich area. The soils are poor. It's a difficult area, challenging to get to, very far from the Bering Straits. So the view was that humans hadn't entered the Amazon until about 1,000 years ago. And then gradually, little by little, that view has begun to change. And it's begun to change because of the tragic clearances of the Amazon, because the Amazon rainforest is literally being cut down and turned into soybean farms and cattle ranches. And in that cutting down process has emerged things that shouldn't be there at all. For example, evidence that large cities flourished in the Amazon. Enormous cities, which were larger than there was a Spanish explorer who went down the Amazon River system in 1541 to 1542. He was the first European to cross the entire length of South America from west to east along the Amazon. He reported seeing incredible cities, advanced arts and crafts, millions of people, a thriving culture. And 100 years later, when other Europeans got into the Amazon, they couldn't find these cities. So they said, Francisco Orellana, that was his name, made it all up. It was just a fantasy. And then in the last decade, as the clearances of the Amazon have proceeded, we've begun to see the traces of those cities. What happened was that the Spaniards brought smallpox into the Amazon. Smallpox devastated the local population because there was no immunity to it. There was a massive die-off. The cities were deserted. Within 50 years, they were completely overgrown by the jungle, and that's why they were not seen by the explorers who came in 100 years later. But now the jungle's being cleared, those cities are emerging, and we can say that a city like London, which had a population of roughly 50,000 in the 16th century, there were cities of that size all over the Amazon. Wow. Huge numbers of them. And a possible total population of the Amazon that exceeded 20 million people.
What?
Yes, 20 million. This is the latest evidence from the Amazon. And then you ask yourself, how did they do that? How did they feed 20 million people in the Amazon? Because it's a fact, rainforest soils are poor. It's one of the reasons these soybean farms are a really stupid idea, because once you clear the rainforest, the land is largely unfertile and you can't grow stuff on it for very long. So how did they feed all these people? The answer was they invented a soil. And that soil has a name. It's called terra preta. Archaeologists refer to it as Amazonian dark earths or Amazonian black earth. It's a man-made soil. It's thousands of years old. It's full of microbes that are not found in adjoining soil. It's based around biochar. And you can take a handful of 8,000-year-old terra preta and you can add it to barren soil, and that soil will instantly become fertile. It's highly sought after in the Amazon, and it explains how they fed these people. There was science in the Amazon.
How did they create this?
Well, this is something that's not understood. It's still not understood by soil experts to this day as to how that was done, but it's one of many intriguing pieces of evidence of much higher development in the Amazon that it has been given credit for, and of a kind of science in the Amazon.
Jamie's got an image of it up there. So this is it?
This is terra preta, yeah. Exactly,
wow.
Exactly. And
so was that done by burns? Did they use controlled burns?
They did. One way that it was achieved was to do wet burning. Of middens. They would be burned and smolder. They wouldn't burn fiercely, which just produces charcoal. They would burn and smolder, and that what is called biochar would result, and that's part of the fertility of the soil. But the mystery is the microbial content of this soil, which is completely different from the microbes in neighboring soils, and that remains unexplained.
So, what are the theories? Composting, some sort of advanced composting?
Yes, some sort of advanced composting. But again, what has not been explained is the microbial content of these soils. So there first of all is an issue of how two things: how large populations get fed in the Amazon, and evidence that there was a culture in the Amazon that was capable of manipulating the environment in such a way that it could support large populations with the invention of terra preta. Secondly, new evidence, previously not recognized, the Amazon is basically a garden. The Amazon is a man-made rainforest. There are certain trees like Brazil nut trees or the ice cream bean tree, which are food crops, which are very, very valuable, and they dominate the tree regime in the Amazon. They're what's referred to as hyperdominant species. In other words, people living in the Amazon over thousands of years selected certain trees, which they then cultivated and grew. So the whole thing is not simply a wild, pristine rainforest. It's a very ancient man-made environment. And emerging from that man-made environment, as well as evidence of large cities, large populations, and this mysterious dark earth, are huge geometrical structures. And again, I go into this at length in America before because I love this mystery.
It's not just that we're on the verge of quantum computing and AI becoming sentient. It's that we're coexisting at the same time with people that have a completely subsistence-based lifestyle with the stuff that's around them. You know, stone tools, literally, pointed sticks for spears. That they've been doing this for thousands and thousands of years. And they're living at the same time as smartphone addiction.
Not only that, those people probably, their roots go, they could be the original civilization. I mean, I believe that there is.
Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Look at those people. That is so wild.
Taken in June, I think.
Man, that would be so... If you could just be a fucking fly on the wall and observe that life, like without interfering somehow, so just remotely, God, that would be so incredible.
You would be doing what the aliens are doing right now.
I think that is what they're doing. I think it's real similar. I really do.
Yeah.
I think if you just looked at the natural progression of human beings and what we're talking about with quantum computing and AI and the technological innovations that are without doubt going to hit us like a tsunami over the next 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is. What are we going to become? We're going to become what they are, the same kind of thing. And if there was a planet that had something like us that's emerging and just figuring out how to split the atom and, you know, and still involved in tribal warfare, a primate that's still involved with tribal warfare but now has nuclear bombs, that's us. Also dick pics. also OnlyFans. Also, just massive social media addicts all over the entire planet while we're engaging in tribal warfare with hypersonic weapons. So they would be studying us the same way we're studying these folks. Same thing, When we find out a guy got hit with a spear, like, oh, fuck, what happened? These people are crazy. Like, you got to be careful. Like, when Paul was saying that they were there and they realized that the tribe was close, like they were starting to hear things, and they realized they were probably being hunted, and they just got the fuck out of there as quick as they could. That's terrifying.
This is a community of 60 people living in 9 chums. On the days between migrations, they spend most of their time looking after reindeer and making repairs.
The Arctic has been hiding century-old secrets of human survival beneath its howling winds and endless frozen landscapes. Recently, a tribe was discovered so deeply connected to this frozen wilderness that their way of life has left scientists speechless. How have they endured such extreme conditions for generations? And what other tribes might still be out there, guarding ancient secrets in the most remote corners of the Earth? Inuit. Life in the Arctic regions often seems unthinkable to people who live in more temperate areas. Yet for the Inuit, generations of adaptation and creativity have shaped vibrant communities in places where temperatures regularly drop far below freezing. Traditionally found in parts of Greenland, Canada, and Alaska, they depend on local resources such as seal, whale, caribou, and fish to survive. In older times, hunting involved harpoon, animal skin kayaks, and dog sled teams that carried people across vast expanses of ice. Many now use rifles or combine traditional gear with modern tools, but the core knowledge remains the same. One remarkable aspect of Inuit life has been the ability to thrive on a diet consisting mostly of animal fat and protein. Science would suggest that a high-fat diet might lead to widespread heart problems, yet studies of Inuit groups have often shown lower than expected rates of cardiovascular disease. Researchers point to specific genetic traits that allow more efficient processing of fats, as well as consistent physical activity that comes with living in a challenging environment. Over time, children learn from elders how to look for signs in the ice or sky that help predict weather changes, which can be critical for scheduling hunts or traveling safely during storm. Shelter and clothing have also been key to survival. Many people think of igloos as iconic Arctic structures, though these compact domes of hard-packed snow are usually temporary dwellings used during hunting trips or emergencies. Modern houses are fairly common in permanent Inuit settlements, but knowing how to build or repair an igloo can still save lives in dangerous conditions. Animal hides, especially seal and caribou skins, were used for centuries to craft parkas, boots, and mittens. These garments insulate against brutal winds and help maintain body heat in freezing temperatures. Inuit languages, grouped under terms like Inuktitut or Inuinnaqtun, reveal how closely language can link a community to its land. Directions sometimes rely on concepts of north, south, east, and west, rather than left or right. This approach might help a seasoned hunter traverse miles of tundra without getting lost. Some linguists observe that the structure of these languages affects how concepts of time and spatial awareness develop within Inuit culture. Although many Inuit have now integrated modern technologies such as snowmobiles, satellite phones, and heated homes, hunting traditions, oral histories, and land-based knowledge continue to guide everyday life in the far north. Mercy Tribe. Situated in Ethiopia's lower Omo Valley, the Mercy tribe has attracted widespread attention for body modifications and cultural practices that stand out even among the diverse groups found in East Africa. One of their most notable customs is the wearing of large clay lip plates by women, sometimes stretching the lower lip to sizes that outsiders find surprising. Traditionally, the size of the plate can reflect a woman's social standing and play a part in bride wealth negotiations. It's an explicit sign of beauty within the community, though outside onlookers may see it as extreme. While the lip plates often take center stage in discussions about the Mercy, there is much more to their way of life. Cattle herding is the backbone of daily survival, supplemented by crops such as sorghum and maize. A family's wealth can be measured in how many cattle they own, with cows vital for milk, blood occasionally taken without harming the animal, and meat. During the dry season, groups often move to find better grazing land, creating cycles of temporary settlement. This movement can introduce conflicts with neighboring tribes, especially when water resources run low. Feuds over grazing rights or past raids have encouraged many Mercy to possess modern firearms like AK-47s, which they use for defense against other tribal groups. While it might appear alarming to see automatic weapons in what outsiders might label a traditional society, these tools represent how the Mercy adapt to ongoing threats in a region that has few formal policing structures. Body art remains another important aspect of Mercy culture. Scarification and painting with natural pigments often take place for aesthetic, ceremonial, or social reasons, marking events like coming of age or successful hunts. Men and women might decorate themselves with intricate patterns and shapes, each design reflecting personal style or group identity. Interactions with tourists and researchers bring income for some, as visitors pay for photos or guided tours. However, not everyone welcomes outside curiosity, and Mercy elders sometimes question whether exposure to external influences undermines core values. Chukchi. Far to the northeast of Russia, beyond the Arctic Circle, live the Chukchi people in a stretch of land called Chukotka. Their population is relatively small, hovering around several thousand. But the cultural distinctions between coastal and inland groups are notable. Inland communities practice large-scale reindeer herding. Families traverse tundra expanses to find fresh lichen for their animal, packing up portable homes called yurangas each time they move. Coastal Chukchi, on the other hand, depend heavily on marine hunting, taking advantage of seasonal migrations of walruses, seals, and whale. Reindeer provide not only meat, but also hides for clothing and materials for tent coverings. In this region, winter temperatures can persist well below -30 degrees Celsius, making warmth an absolute priority. Urangas, shaped somewhat like yurts, are built with wooden frames, sometimes whalebone, and layered with multiple blankets of hides. With a well-maintained fire burning in a sturdy hearth, the inside can stay comfortably warm even during harsh storm. Dogs also play a supportive role in Chukchi society, helping to pull sleds across the tundra and acting as companions during lengthy travel. Before modern snowmobiles became available, dog teams served as a lifeline for hunters trekking over vast, snowy plains in search of game. Over the 20th century, Soviet authorities attempted to centralize the Chukchi, creating villages and schools. Although these steps provided certain resources, such as basic healthcare and education, they sometimes disrupted the nomadic cycles that families had followed for generations. Even so, many communities found ways to incorporate these outside elements while maintaining older cycles of migration. Today, some Chukchi still prefer life on the move, setting up camp wherever the reindeer or fishing opportunities guide them, relying on local knowledge passed down from parents and grandparents. Rituals and festivities often mirror these hunting and herding routines. Each successful whale or walrus catch is cause for celebration in the coastal settlements, uniting families for singing and dancing under freezing northern skies. Among inland herders, ceremonial gatherings mark events like the migration season or the birth of new reindeer calves. Batak people. Located primarily in the highlands of Sumatra, in Indonesia, the Batak people form several subgroups, including Toba, Karo, Simalungun, Pakpak, Angkola, and Mandaling. While they share broad cultural traits, each group has unique dialects and customs. Historically, the Batak were known in older texts for their independence and, at times, confrontational stance toward outsiders. Accounts from the 19th century mention practices like cannibalism under specific conditions, though these behaviors have long since faded. Sprawling Lake Toba, a volcanic caldera lake, is central to many Batak communities. People fish or farm around its shores, and the lake's beauty has drawn domestic and international visitors, supporting local tourism. Traditional Batak homes, called Rumah Adat, feature tall roofs that curve upward, practical for rainfall and humidity. Families sometimes lived communally in these large structures, separated by partial wall that allowed privacy but still encouraged a sense of shared living. Although modern houses have become more common, some villages maintain these older architectural designs to connect with ancestral heritage. Today, religion among the Batak varies, with many embracing Christianity or Islam, while some maintain older spiritual practices that focus on ancestor worship and nature-based rituals. Funerals can be especially elaborate, with large gatherings, intricate dances, and offerings meant to honor relatives who have passed away. In areas with a strong Christian Batak presence, churches may be built in distinctive local styles, blending traditional aesthetics with outside religious influences. Meanwhile, music and dance remain strong markers of identity. Batak musicians often play instruments like the taganing, a set of tuned drums, sarun, a reed wind instrument, and hasapi, a wooden lute, creating energetic sounds that accompany weddings, feasts, or cultural festivals. Weaving, wood carving, and other crafts are also central to Batak identity. Elaborate textiles with symbolic motifs might be exchanged during important life events, linking families in a cycle of gift-giving and reciprocity. As tourism and urban migration increase, some younger Batak move away for education or work, but many stay connected to home through annual cultural gatherings or holiday visits. Surma tribe. In southwestern Ethiopia, near the border with South Sudan, live the Surma, collectively referring to groups like the Suri, Chai, and Tirma. Though each group might have subtle differences, they share traditions such as farming, herding cattle, and engaging in elaborate body decorations. Cattle remain a core source of wealth, representing social and economic status. A family's herd can determine its influence in marriage arrangements or community decision-making, and disputes over grazing land can escalate into intertribal conflicts. Among the Surma's most noticeable customs is the wearing of clay lip plates by women, sometimes reaching sizes thought impossible by outside standards. The process begins with a small plate inserted into the lower lip, enlarged gradually over time. Surma community members link larger plates to higher status, and some families see them as factors in bride wealth negotiations, equating bigger lip plates with a larger required dowry. Despite any physical discomfort, many women embrace this tradition as a symbol of cultural pride, insisting that it's part of a heritage passed on for generations. Stick fighting, known locally as donga, is another hallmark of Surma life. Young men compete in these contests to prove strength and valor, attracting considerable excitement among spectators. Wielding thin, tall sticks, fighters engage in one-on-one matches, aiming to strike the opponent without causing excessive injury. Victorious participants might gain local fame or better marriage prospects, while the fights themselves reaffirm community bonds and group identity. In day-to-day life, Surma families cultivate grains like sorghum and maize, along with small vegetable plots. Surma women often assume primary roles in preparing meal, fetching water, and managing household activities, while men focus on herding and field work. Outside influence has increased in some areas, whether through government programs, missionary activities, or outside travelers seeking to photograph Surma customs. Some Surma individuals find opportunities in tourism, selling handmade crafts or charging fees for pictures, yet tensions exist over land use, modernization, and increased security measures. Asmat people. Along the southwestern coasts of New Guinea, the Asmat people reside in swampy lowlands, surrounded by mangroves and coastal forests. This environment, shaped by frequent flooding and thick mud, can challenge travelers but sustains the Asmat through sago palms, fishing, and other forest resources. Though best known internationally for their spectacular wood carvings, their culture as a whole is anchored in ideas of spiritual reflection and ongoing connections to their ancestors. Many Asmat creation stories emphasize that the first human beings arose from carved wooden figures. This belief shapes the importance they place on carving, which is often considered a sacred act rather than merely a craft. Intricate ancestor poles, called MBIs, illustrate the tribe's devotion to those who have passed on. These tall, ornate structures can stand upright in a ceremonial space before being discarded or allowed to rot after the ritual ends, symbolizing the release of the spirits. Drums, shields, and houseposts also feature detailed carving, each design reflecting local myths or clan stories. In earlier periods, some Asmat groups practiced headhunting and other feared customs, but these acts usually had spiritual importance, related to avenging a relative's death or restoring cosmological balance. In the mid-20th century, missionaries and colonial administrators tried to end such violence by spreading Christianity and establishing new administrative centers. While many Asmat adopted Christian faith, they still preserve much of their old identity. Ceremonies blend indigenous traditions, such as dancing in elaborate costume, with modern religious elements introduced by outside influences. Sago starch remains a primary food staple, and communal labor is central to daily life. When the tribe works together to fish, farm, or process sago, it fosters a communal spirit passed down through generations. Geographic isolation continues to shape Asmat experiences. Access to far-flung settlements can involve long canoe rides on winding rivers. Basic health and educational services often depend on mission stations or government programs that adapt to local conditions. Limited contact with global commerce means regular life still revolves around the forest, the tides, and the spirits believed to roam both. Sentinelese. North Sentinel Island is part of India's Andaman and Nicobar chain, yet its inhabitants often called the Sentinelese, live in near total separation from the modern world. They have repeatedly resisted outside contact, sometimes with force that has proven fatal to would-be visitors. Despite ongoing curiosity from anthropologists, journalists, and adventurous travelers, detailed knowledge of their customs and stories remains extremely limited. From a distance, observers have noted that they rely on fishing, hunting wild game within the island's forest, and gathering fruit and tubers. Dugout canoes have been seen near the island's reefs, suggesting localized fishing practices. Any closer approach is dangerous, as the Sentinelese typically respond to unknown boats or helicopters with volleys of arrows. Modern technology, such as cameras or medical supplies, means little to them, and their motivations in rejecting outsiders appear tied to self-preservation and a strong communal ethos. Experts suggest that the Sentinelese likely share ancestry with other indigenous Andaman Islanders, though their language is entirely undocumented by outsiders. Some watchers think they might have learned over centuries. For them, safeguarding the island is also about defending the community's stability. The government of India, in recognition of the threat that outside contact might pose to Sentinelese health, has established strict regulations. Permanent approaches to the island are banned, and even Indian Coast Guard vessels maintain distance. Little is known about Sentinelese rituals, social structures, though glimpses from a ship deck might reveal huts on the beach or small fires in the trees. It is not enough to reconstruct an entire worldview. In some sense, the Sentinelese exist as one of the last active examples of a group that does not seek to integrate with global culture, while other communities have either embraced modern goods or been forced into submission. The Sentinelese project an unwavering stand. They wish to be left in peace. For now, no one can say with confidence whether they will continue to reject all outside contact in the future, but their isolation remains among the world's most enduring. Kuna tribe. Scattered across the San Blas archipelago and parts of mainland Panama, the Kuna tribe, sometimes spelled Guna, have built societies that pay close attention to ceremonial life and collective governance. Much of their reputation stems from the creation of molas, vivid textile panels usually made by Kuna women through a reverse applique technique. Layers of cloth are placed on top of each other, cut with careful precision, and sewn to form intricate geometric or natural designs. Tourists seeking souvenirs often buy molas, bringing an external flow of cash that helps some Kuna families purchase modern necessities. Social structure revolves around local chiefs, called sahilas, who often gather people in the Congreso, community meeting house, to discuss matters such as resource use, outside contacts, and any current issues that might affect community well-being. Historically, the Kuna have resisted large-scale development projects or assimilation attempts, challenging government forces when they believed their autonomy was in danger. At times, they have physically defended their islands and cultural identity, resulting in political agreements that grant them a measure of self-governance in the region. Spiritual beliefs can include intricate rituals that blend older elements with Christian ideas introduced by missionaries long ago. Some communities still hold night-long gatherings with music, dancing, and chanting that aim to keep cosmic forces in balance. Animal sacrifices have been documented in the past, though they are less routine now than they once might have been. Still, protective ceremonies remain a vital part of community life, intended to shield families from disease or misfortune. Apart from textiles, fishing and coconut harvests provide economic support. People gather coconuts for both local consumption and trade with passing boats, which has historically given them an important right to regulate traffic in Kuna waters. More recently, rising sea levels have become a concern, as many of the islands rest only a meter or two above high tide. Some discussions focus on potentially relocating entire communities to the mainland, but many Kuna express unwillingness to abandon the place that has spiritual and cultural significance. Calm Tibetans. Located in eastern Tibet, the Kham Tibetans are known for their strong sense of independence, robust physique, and a tradition of horsemanship that stretches back centuries. Many Kham regions feature rolling hills and grassy pastures, well suited for horses and yaks. Riders show off their talents during community horse festivals, where they race at high speed, display intricate riding tricks, and sometimes combine archery with equestrian skill. Historically, the Khampa had a reputation as fierce fighters. Foreign travelers in the 19th and early 20th centuries described encounters with what they saw as armed bandits, while local accounts interpret these same individuals as defenders of Kham from outside intrusion. The region's geography, dotted with mountain passes and steep valleys, enabled semi-autonomous groups to resist centralized control for long periods. Even under shifting political powers, the Khampa often retained local patterns of leadership and clan-based landholding. Besides the warrior image, spiritual life plays a big role in Kham. Many Khampa follow Tibetan Buddhism, visiting monastery complexes for teaching and ceremony. Others continue animist or shamanic practices that predate Buddhism's arrival. Sometimes these blend together, as villagers might pray to local mountain gods and also join in major monastic festivals. Buddhism's role shows up in many day-to-day customs, such as the spinning of prayer wheels, chanting of mantras, or decorative prayer flags fluttering across high ridges to catch the wind. Trade caravans once carried salt, tea, and other goods between Kham and neighboring areas, forming a lasting economic tradition. Today, roads link some towns to broader markets, sparking a gradual introduction of modern schools, clinics, and tourist ventures. Not everyone welcomes these changes. Some worry that new laws and outside investors could erode local culture, gradually shifting power away from the clans. Still, many Khampa see economic improvements as a chance to sustain families without abandoning core value. At horse festivals, men and women in distinctive clothing gather to share story, conduct business, and reaffirm old ties. Melanesian cargo cults. Across the Pacific islands of Melanesia, especially places like Vanuatu or Papua New Guinea, the term cargo cult emerged from events during World War II. Allied forces arrived with planes and ships loaded with supplies, items like tinned food, clothing, and machinery, causing local islanders to witness a sudden influx of modern goods. These resources were often shared with the troops or local laborers, creating a sense of awe among observers who had never encountered such technology. Some communities concluded that these unfamiliar visitors possessed the power to command the appearance of cargo. As the war ended and the soldiers departed, the steady stream of cargo vanished. Seeking to bring back what they had seen, certain local groups developed new religious movements that imitated the daily routines of soldiers. People cleared makeshift runways, built wooden replicas of radios or air traffic control towers, marched in formation, and performed symbolic ceremonies, hoping to summon planes loaded with valuable supplies from the sky. Outsiders labeled these new religious traditions cargo cults. One of the best-known examples comes from the island of Tanna in Vanuatu, where the John Frum movement took shape. Residents told stories of a figure named John Frum, possibly derived from an American serviceman's name, who promised wealth, prosperity, or a return of the cargo if followers faithfully reenacted soldierly rituals. These beliefs often linked Christian and traditional elements, blending earlier worship practices with the new hope that the US military or other outsiders might eventually return. Although common perceptions might view cargo cults as misguided or naive, more recent research suggests that these practices followed a logical path within island belief systems. Island communities had their own ways of propitiating spiritual being, so seeing foreign troops call in cargo with radios or signals reinforced the idea that ritual and faith could produce material reward. While many of these movements fell out of the public eye over time, some persist today. Communities still hold annual commemorations or maintain shrines to John Frum, awaiting another age of plenty. Naga tribe. The Naga, living in the hilly border areas between northeast India and northwest Myanmar, represent scores of individual tribes. These tribes led independent lives in remote, forest-covered mountains, sustaining themselves through slash-and-burn agriculture, hunting, and trading with neighboring groups. Traditionally, kinship structures and clan affiliations strongly shaped social life. Elders settle community disputes or pass judgments on matters like land ownership, marriage alliances, and resource sharing. Fertile slopes support rice fields, and men often supplement food supplies by hunting wild game near thickly wooded areas. Over time, some groups emphasized weaving, blacksmithing, and other crafts, exchanging goods within the region. When Christian missionaries arrived in the 19th century, many Naga communities converted, leading to the establishment of churches and shifting older spiritual practices into new form. Perhaps the most sensational aspect of Naga history is the practice of headhunting, replaced in modern times by more peaceful alternatives, but still remembered in local lore. Capturing an opponent's head once served as a sign of bravery and was accompanied by ceremonial rituals that invoked ancestral favor or assured community fertility. Tattoos on the chest or arms marked successful headhunters, and these designs remained visible symbols of power. Forces like colonial governments and mission schools played a major role in discouraging headhunting, which eventually disappeared in the mid-20th century. Cultural festivals like the Hornbill Festival offer contemporary travelers a chance to witness Naga heritage. Distinctive outfits with elaborate headdresses, colorful shawls, and handcrafted jewelry celebrate tribal identity. Traditional games, songs, and folklore appear alongside modern forms of entertainment, demonstrating how younger generations balance older customs with the digital era. Politically, the Naga have had conflicts with central governments over autonomy or self-determination, resulting in decades of negotiations and peace talks. While some differences remain, the region has also seen efforts to open up trade and tourism. Yali tribe. High in the mountains of Papua, part of Indonesia's half of New Guinea, the Yali tribe lives in rugged valleys and steep slopes that are hard to access even with modern transportation. Dense rainforest, muddy trails, and sudden changes in weather make travel dangerous for outsiders, which is why the Yali have maintained a high degree of isolation. Traditional social structures revolve around small villages, each consisting of a few huts placed on elevated land. Most Yali survive by cultivating crops like sweet potatoes, taro, and bananas in steep garden plots, supplemented by hunting small animal. Religious and spiritual beliefs weave through Yali daily life. Rituals often involve group chanting, drum playing, and dancing, reflecting a worldview that acknowledges both helpful and harmful spirits. Some accounts mention that leaders or spiritual authorities use these events to settle disputes or prepare for hunts. Occasional gatherings bring neighboring Yali groups together, strengthening alliances that can be crucial when external threats loom or when resources run scarce due to challenging weather conditions. The steep terrain can also create territorial boundaries that reduce frequent interaction, leading to variations in dialects or customs from one valley to the next. Encounters with outsiders, whether Indonesian officials or foreign missionaries, have increased in recent decades. VOC and Dutch colonial influences were minimal in this mountainous region, so it was not until the mid to late 20th century that Christian missions and government representatives arrived to build airstrips or small clinics. Many Yali choose to stay deeply connected to older traditions, though some younger members accept limited forms of modern education.